Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening. My name is Kaylin Carrera. Today, I'll be discussing strain theory and crime causation, focusing specifically on general strain theory and how it explains both historical and modern criminal behavior. In our introduction, I'll be talking about how crime doesn't happen at random. Most people who offend are responding to pressures in their lives, whether emotional, social, or structural. General strain theory, often called GST, offers one of the strongest explanations for how those pressures turn into criminal behavior. In this presentation, I'll walk through the foundations of the theory, the research that supports it, and real-life examples, and what policies could actually reduce crime. My view of crime causation. In my view, crime is often the outcome of people facing strains they don't know how to cope with. When someone experiences constant frustration, anger, or hopelessness, and they lack healthy support systems, they may turn to criminal behavior to relieve or escape those emotions. The social environments people grow up in can either help them manage strain or make those pressures much worse. General strain theory basic tenets. General strain theory says that crime is a response to stressors. These stressors might include blocked goals, losing something important, or experiencing negative treatment from others. Strain creates negative emotions, especially anger, and when people don't have legal or healthy coping strategies, they may turn to crime. In this way, crime becomes a method of reducing stress, restoring control, or expressing frustration. Evaluation of strain theory. GST expands on Merton's earlier strain theory by focusing more on individual emotions and coping processes, rather than just economic pressures. Modern versions of the theory recognize the importance of social support, culture, and community conditions. Strain doesn't automatically lead to crime because it becomes criminogenic when it's paired with weak coping skills, poor social support, and limited social control. Research supporting GST. Research strongly supports the central idea that strain produces negative emotions, and those emotions can lead to crime. In 2024, studies have found that people with higher levels of strain were significantly more likely to engage in aggressive or antisocial behavior. Wang and colleagues in 2025 show that economic stressors and social exclusion produce anger that directly contributed to both property crime and violent crime. These studies confirm that emotional responses, especially anger, are key in the pathway from strain to criminal behavior. Community influences on strain. Research has also shown that the environment around a person can reduce or increase the effects of strain. Lanphier and colleagues found in 2022 that neighborhoods with strong collective efficiency, meaning strong social ties and common values, helped reduce violent crime linked to strain. On the other hand, communities with low support and high disorder had more strain-based offending. This tells us that strain interacts with environment, not just individual psychology. Historical example, Seneca Shakur. A powerful example of strain leading to crime is the life of Seneca Shakur, a previously known as Monster Cody Scott. Growing up, he faced poverty, isolation, and almost no legitimate opportunities for success. He turned to gang life as a way to gain power, identity, and protection. Shakur himself explained that his violence was the result of anger and hopelessness shaped by his environment. His story shows exactly what GST predicts. When people face constant structural and personal pressure, crime can become the outlet for them. Modern examples. Strain theory also explains modern crime trends. During the COVID-19 pandemic, economic hardship and social isolation increased. Domestic violence and interpersonal conflicts, just as GST would predict, we also see strain and broader cultural patterns. And our textbook notes that structural inequalities, cultural norms, and gender dynamics contribute to what he calls rape culture, which increases the likelihood of sexual violence, and both strain leads to emotional distress, which increases the likelihood of aggressive or harmful behavior. Critiques of GST. Although GST is powerful, it isn't perfect. Not every type of crime is caused by strain. For example, white-collar crime, thrill-seeking behavior, or crimes committed by people high in psychopathy don't always involve anger or frustration. Another limitation is that not everyone who experiences strain commits a crime. Factors like moral beliefs, self-control, or strong social support reduce the impact of strain. Because of this, strain theory works best when it's combined with theories like social learning and social control. Policy implications. Strain theory suggests that the best way to reduce crime is to reduce the stressors that lead to it and improve people's coping skills. Policies that improve education, employment, and opportunities in mental health support can lower the sources of strain. Community policing, youth mentorships, and programs that build neighborhood trust help increase informal social control. In our notebook, it also notes that reducing structural inequality and emotional distress has some of the strongest long-term effects on the crime reduction. How these policies reduce crime. These policies reduce crime in several ways. They lower strain by improving access to resources. They help people develop healthier coping strategies so they don't turn to crime. They strengthen communities, making informal social control stronger instead of simply reacting to crime after it happens. These interventions target the root causes, which makes them more effective than punishment alone. Ethical, legal, and financial concerns. Of course, these policies come with challenges. Ethically, we need to ensure that interventions are fair and don't discriminate against certain communities. Legally, we must protect the privacy, especially in mental health or community-based programs. Politically, there may be disagreements about funding social programs rather than just focusing on the punishment itself. And financially, these programs require sustained investment, which isn't always available. Still, the benefits can outweigh the costs if they reduce long-term crime. Final thoughts. General strain theory stands out to me because it treats crime as a human response to real pressures, not simply just a personal failure. It considers emotion, environment, and inequality, which makes it a comprehensive explanation for many types of crime. And most importantly, it points towards solutions that address the root causes of criminal behavior. Understanding strain helps us create a society where people have healthier ways to cope and fewer reasons to turn to crime. Thank you so much for listening.